Hello and welcome to What's Your Testimony? I'm one of the hosts, Dr. Sharita Williams, and I have a guest today, Margaret Colmell, and she has an amazing story that she would like to share with us. And this is a good time to tell a miracle story because we're getting close to Christmas and we have the Thanksgiving holidays in a couple of days. So I know people are anxious to hear a good miracle story. Margaret, are you there to share your story?
Yes. Hi, Sharia. How are you?
I'm great. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, so my name is Margaret Kelmo. I live in Cedar Lake, Indiana. I have an amazing story. So what happened is last September 2018, I was coaching soccer and I had an injury, a right foot injury that it led to recovery. It took 10 months of recovery. But it's a silver lining, and it's a blessing in disguise because I was able to come back to God. I was the lost sheep, and I completely am found at this point. And I will never, ever leave God ever again. With that being said, I did physical therapy. I did the chiropractor. I've been, begging pretty much for healing. I thought I was going to be on the wheelchair for the rest of my life with my right foot injury, but God decided that, I'm going to get healed. And I thought that I was just going to get healed on my foot, but no, he decided to heal my soul also. So, last September, it's a silver lining, and I actually wrote a book. It's called Silver Lining. I am looking for an amazing publishing company that will believe me that I am following God's plan every step of the way. And I need that book to reach out to as many people as possible in a very short period of time, because I believe the Holy Spirit spoke through me, because I wrote a whole nonfiction chapter book in 2 weeks. I'm on fire, ladies.
Well, I think that's great. So, Margaret, during this time that you had your injury, and I would always say like being flat on your back, you had an opportunity to look up and let God be God. So can you share with our listeners what was going through your mind or what was happening to you at that time?
Oh, it was horrible. I was in the darkness. I was very depressed. And I would say that it's about a year ago. It's when Thanksgiving, Christmas is happening, and I'm going to my physical therapy. I'm doing the chiropractor. I'm going to these doctors. Nobody knows what the hell is going on until I found a amazing podiatrist that I just told him the mechanism of an injury. I just explained the story. He's like, I know exactly what is wrong with you. It's going to take at least 6 to 8 months for recovery. So finally, after 8 weeks of not knowing, finally a doctor was able to figure it out. He's like, we could do MRIs, but there's no point. So with that being said, I kept just going to the chiropractor, did the physical therapy, and things like that. But it's like I said, it's a blessing in disguise because it led me back to God. I have huge faith in God at this point, and I am following every step of the way. I live moment to moment, and I look to a brighter future. I have huge visions for the future. I'm going to help transform people's lives to help them figure out if they're stuck in the world, they don't need to be stuck. They can just take that leap of faith and follow their passion, and they will find their purpose. I found my purpose.
Well, I think that's great. So in your book, do you give tips? Your book is called The Silver Lining. I like that. So how did you come up with that name? And do you give tips? Do you give tips in your book on how to find your purpose, or how you found your purpose?
Oh, yes, I do. It's a whole story. I used to be a nurse for 16 years. I had a very successful life. I mean, we're doing very, very well. But again, God had a different plan. Now I believe that being a nurse and my whole life until now, those were the seeds. Those were the seeds of what I'm going to be. I have evolved into an amazing, amazing person. I'm very confident now. I'm capable of anything. I want to help others constantly. I'm very generous, which 2 years ago, I mean, it's sad, but I mean, that's just reality. Like, we don't live for others as much as we should. So I'm very generous now. I love everybody. I don't look at someone if they're making a poor decision. I don't judge them. I feel bad for them. Like, I want to help them. I want to just give them a hug and tell them everything is going to be okay. But the silver.
I feel like you were in the darkness, and now that you're in the light, is that what your book is basically about?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I found the light. I am just praying that my husband and my mother will understand that I found my purpose and I'm in the light, and I am not going to go back to my mediocre life, I guess. Meaning just, working as a nurse and, things like that. I have bigger plans with God. Like, we're going to save the world one day at a time. And God, God in my life is the driver and I'm just the passenger. And I show up, I have fun, and amazing things are happening. Miracles are happening in my life constantly. And I love it. I love it.
So, Margaret, here at WYTV7, What's Your Testimony, we empower people. That's one of our mission statements, that we empower people. And do you feel like your family is supporting you? And if not, how can you tell our listeners or give our listeners some tips on how to keep going even when your family is not supporting you? And I'm not talking about monetarily. I'm talking about supporting your work.
Right. So as I shared with you guys, I haven't had a paycheck since my injury, and I know that God will always provide for me. When I have visions for opening a prevention center in Cedar Lake, Indiana. Well, I can't do that. I can't do that if I'm not working. I've tried to apply to different positions, but I think that was just to prove it to my family that I'm trying. But God is not going to give me a job. Like, I have a purpose and I need to follow that purpose. I have a calling. So I'm definitely following that calling. Like, I believe Mother Teresa had a calling, but when she went to India, she realized that she wasn't supposed to be there, but she still stayed there. Like, I'm not really, I'm not that familiar with the story, but I talked to one pastor about it, and he's like, yeah, she wasn't supposed to be there, but she decided to do it on her own. I'm not going to do any of this purpose stuff on my own. Like, God's been guiding me since September. God's been guiding me to all these amazing people just locally around here. But to answer your question, my family, they're hanging in there. They know I'm happy, but they're scared, especially my mother, bless her heart. She's just scared that I'm taking that leap of faith. I'm taking a chance of who knows what, right? So I'm going with the unknown, but I know that nothing bad will ever happen to me because God will protect me. And I believe that in my heart because I am following my purpose and my calling. But my mom still thinks that I'm going to go into depression and I'm going to get anxious again. She thinks I'm bipolar. I've never been diagnosed with anything in my life. So, yeah, but yeah, so I'm not bipolar. I have awakened to my purpose and I'm happy for no reason.
Well, I think that's great. So if I am wanting to start a business or change careers, how can you inspire me or what kind of information or encouragement can you give me to pursue my dream?
Okay. Take that leap of faith and everything is going to work out.
So what if I'm not where you are? Everybody doesn't have the same amount of faith as other people have. Right. That's why God said, if you have faith of a mustard seed, and some people are baby Christians. So they may not be where you are or I am or one of our listeners at WYTV7. How can you inspire them to walk by faith and not by sight?
Well, again, everybody has a choice in their life. And, you know, everybody has God's will. God gave you a choice. And, you know, I can tell them, I explain to them how amazing my life is, how I'm seeing miracles, how I'm seeing all the signs from the universe that I'm on the right path, the guardian angels are watching over me. You know, I can tell them all that, but it's going to be up to that person. Like, you know, I hope that after this podcast or whatever this is, I hope that people will reach out to me. And I hope that I will have lots of friends because of this. You know, like I want to help others. And I hope that there's going to be a publishing company in the near future, contacting me that they heard me on this. And that's why they want to hire me, you know, like, or they want to see my book, you know, like something like that.
So Margaret, can you share with the listeners some of the miracles that has been happening in your life since this happened last year?
Well, one of the miracle is that doctors always said that I will always have the residual pain, you know, pain crisis with my foot. I've been going to yoga. I've lost 30 pounds, and I've been pretty much living a sedentary lifestyle before probably May or June. So that's a huge miracle that I'm capable of driving, that I'm capable of walking, exercising. I'm taking care of myself. Before this injury, I was lost. It's really sad, but I didn't know who I was because I was doing everything for my family. My family came first. My boys came first. My husband came first. My mother came first. Everybody, right? I was the people pleaser. And not anymore. I put myself first. You know, I put God, myself, my family, and friends. And that's how it's supposed to be.
So, Margaret, can you share with us, and I know you just shared with us some things of how it was, but what's the difference now between who you were then and who you are now? And I'm not saying, I know you told us that you put your family first, and I understand that, but I'm talking about spiritually. What's the difference between now and a year ago?
Well, I found my inner powers, and everybody has them. Meaning that I am very confident. I am very outspoken. I have no problems going up to a stranger and just giving them a hug. I was never a hugger. I was very quiet. I was very antisocial, like just very shy, couldn't get along with other people. Well, not necessarily. I just couldn't fit in, I guess.
So how do you fit in now? How do you feel like you fit in now?
Now I believe God is guiding me to the people that are very optimistic. They're looking forward to the future, that they have big visions, you know, that they want to save the world one day at a time, you know, kind of thing. So my circle of friends completely changed, and I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that. I will share with you just really fast that about 2 months ago, I met a friend that, again, this was all God's plan, but me and her, like, we're soul sisters. Like, we just met 2 months ago, but we feel like we've known each other forever. And she's going through a huge storm, huge crisis right now, but I'm with her. I'm helping her get through the bad storm. And then she's going to be coming as a testimony on your radio station also, and we're going to be doing the testimony together about how amazing it is when you're following God's plan, because she's following God's plan too, but she's still afraid. So by her seeing how excited I get that I just go with the flow of life and everything works out. So I'm the lead by an example kind of thing. So she's following me. And then other people will start following us. And it's going to be like a trickle effect.
So, Margaret, if someone came up and they were not a believer, and they asked you, how do you know that you're following God's plan? What would you tell them?
Honestly, you don't even have to be a believer. You don't have to be a Christian to know that there is something bigger and something bigger out there. Like there's just, you don't need to be a Christian to follow God's plan, the highest powers, the universe, some people don't go to church, and that's completely fine, but it's the universe,
I understand that. And I understand, no, you don't have to go to church because God lives in our heart. And
Correct.
Everybody, and it's what we do with people that makes the difference. So now that you're on this journey and things are going in the right direction, the positive direction, how can you share with our listeners to keep motivated to continue on with their dreams?
Say that again. Oh, okay, because I was muted.
How can you inspire our listeners to keep motivated and continue with their dreams, even when things don't look like it's going to turn out for their good? How can you educate them or inspire them to continue?
Just have faith that everything will work out. And it's really sad to say, but God or the highest power or the universe will test your faith. And trust me, I've been tested since this journey started. And this is just to show the universe that you are ready for this purpose. I would say about 3 weeks ago, my family was going through a huge storm, like to the point that we're doing family counseling because of, I was following God's plan and things like that. But anyway, family counseling, I'm making friends with them, and they actually believe my story. My husband doesn't believe me at all, but that's okay. He'll get there. He'll get there, and then we're going to be stronger and better together,
And Margaret, and I think that's beautiful. And, and I want to thank you, for coming and being a part of WYTV7, What's Your Testimony? And our listeners, I'm sure they're going to be very inspired and empowered once they listen to your story, because it's all about walking in faith, and it's all about being thankful. And we are coming into the Thanksgiving, which is a time to give thanks in all things, And here at WYTV7, we are a Christian broadcasting network. And so we do try to inspire people and to walk by faith, not by sight, to believe in God, to follow God's plan, because that's what it's all about. And once you do that, God will start changing things in your life for your good. So, Margaret, we want to thank you for being a part of What's Your Testimony. We want to thank our listeners for listening in at What's Your Testimony. And we want to thank WYTV7 Broadcasting Network for letting us air on their network. Also, we want to give a special thanks to the executive producer and all the staff at WYTV7 for working at this Thanksgiving holiday. And Margaret, we want to thank you for taking the time out to be with us during this Thanksgiving holiday. And we would like to thank all of our listeners and tell everybody to have a happy Thanksgiving. And if they want to continue to listen to these amazing stories, log on to wytv7.org and leave a donation. Get a donation. Let your money go in a positive way to reach out to people who may need help, who need a helping hand, who are thankful to God for just the small things. And your donation can help us stay on the air and give back to people who are in need. So I'm Dr. Sharita Williams, and I want to thank everyone for listening, and have a happy Thanksgiving.